Hey Peter, what are you dancing today?
I feel like I'm dancing with the glitches. Ah, oi, oi, oi. How
I
how are
think,
you, Yari? What are you? Yeah, tell me.
uh, oh, I think I'm pretty well. I'm trying to train my stamina for crisis moment, and it is working well, I think.
I think something that's interesting, Yari, is yesterday you were dancing in love with dance, in a way, with your love for dance. And on
Uh-huh.
Saturday, I was writing love letters as a dance score, I guess, looking at how love is
Love letters
choreographic.
to
It was love letters to anything, so it was more the act of love.
our love is choreographic.
Yeah, and
Love
in
letter
fact,
to audience.
yeah, love letters to anything. So yeah, to the audience, to the place, to feelings, to desires. But what's interesting is, these declarations of love, they become exclusive as much as they're inclusive. There's this sort of pull and push. But I still like it. I like
Tell
that
me more
space of
about
I like
why
that space of
they're
opening and keep giving love,
why they
spending
become
time in love. I don't know. It's like so you
why are they so inclusive? Exclusive.
exclusive, yeah. I think it's because, so I
Ah,
write, I love the way you smile, which then sort of excludes or puts pressure on having to smile over not smiling, right? So it's a little like this.
mm,
You're creating a value hierarchy. But the
right.
intention with this
Yeah.
performance was like to keep writing love letters so that they undo each other and they contradict each other, and that love becomes this continuous act of being in love, of making uh, in the face of love, so that the thing has a liveness, even though it was like a lot of writing and a lot of paper, but that it's overflowing with uh, with production of what is loved and what is not loved. That things can undo themselves through doing, through loving. So maybe, yeah, maybe it's to do with more the act of
Oh, such a
writing in
pity. I
relationship
missed that
to,
performance.
yeah, the act of writing in relationship to the act of performing love compared to stating love or manifesting love inside of a letter. So turning love letters into a dance changes that somehow, right? How about you, Yari? How's your um can you speak about your love for dance at the moment?
Be- Ah, yeah. I mean, at the moment, my love for the dance is quite, uh, oof, like right now. You know what I mean? maybe it's a bit like state name that love. It's a way to love sometimes.
Mhm.
It's recalling. I'm thinking. So I'm moving and I'm kind of finding uh, that love. Or I don't think right now I'm loving myself. I'm so sorry. But I had an idea why you spoke about glimpse and glitch.
Yes.
When you spoke about glitches, I thought because this week your workshop was about
Improvisation.
improvisation.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized that glitch create images like stops. And this is really one of the basic starting points. I learned to improvise,
Mm.
creating a pose and then creating another pose and then connecting the two poses.
Yeah. That's really
And
beautiful.
so, yeah, connecting the glitches. So somehow the choreography is lost or something, right? We just have the glitches are just stop or but also the beginning or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Maybe it's very confusing, but I'm also what I probably want to say is that in this workshop it's very interesting how you obviously as usual connect improvisation and choreography,
Yeah.
but it's also interesting that maybe you don't mention fully, but any kind of choreography starts from improvisation. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm if I'm doing a if I'm trying to build a choreography that stays, what I do is improvising for a few seconds, for maybe 2 3 seconds, and then getting one, okay, and then fix it, uh, and it's again similar to glitch in that sense, no? That somehow I enter improvisation
Mhm.
and go out from improvisation in a fragmented way.
Yeah. I think what you're dwelling on a little bit, which I haven't really named, especially in this, like I'm talking about choreography and I'm being very generous to choreography. I'm saying like choreography is just whatever informs, right? It's whatever allows the dance to be what it is. But I think what you're speaking of is can choreography exist without a choreographer? And like, does it exist without a choreographer? Like, there's such a cultural weighted understanding of choreography as belonging to choreographers that then to conflate improvisation with choreography is maybe not, it's doing a disservice to improvisation because it's not choreographed in the sense of having a choreographer authoring the movement external to the dancer who is dancing the movement. Um, and I think this is really, I think it's really important to sort of acknowledge that pull and pull or shift. Uh, yeah, that the improvisation, of course, doesn't need to do that. I think partly the reason we have this cultural understanding of choreography is has to have a choreographer is because I also believe when we speak of choreography in a general sense, sometimes we're speaking about the sort of pedagogical tool, the teaching tool of mimicry, that you learn from a body. Like I think it's actually very rare that in a general sense that people think choreography and they think of text, because choreograph, right? The writing of the chorus, the score that was sort of created to devise dances, Benish, Laban, notation, all these things. Like this is sort of maybe etymologically more in keeping with what choreography is. However, we use it more in the relationship to this way of teaching dance, where you stand in front of the teacher or the choreographer and you you mimic what they're doing. And then I think when I say improvisation is always following a choreography, then it assumes that it's following a memory of copying someone, or it's literally copying someone, some person, and that person would be then the choreographer. And I think it is important that we divorce this action where we are attributing the value of dance to a single person. I think it's important inside of choreography when we speak about choreography, and I think it's important when we speak of dancing and what dance is. And so then maybe it isn't helpful when I say like improvisation is choreographed, maybe. You know what I mean? Was this like, I don't know. It just occurred to me now when you were sort of saying, speaking about improvisation and how it doesn't have a choreography. Yeah.
I'm thinking that also within places where choreography and improvisation feel the same in context of dance, where sorry, different in context of dance, where these two things are clearly separated, there is so much in that interchanges. I'm thinking about um, our choreographer is very inspired by the dancer.
Yes.
So how the dancer also somehow choreographed, but
Yes.
make the choreography, even if the choreographer brings steps. I'm
Yeah.
saying this choreographer brings steps. It's also something not very usual anymore, maybe in certain contexts. And yet, in those contexts where this happened, it's very clear that still the choreographer is by looking how the dancer react
Yes.
as a reaction,
Yeah.
as a charming, and then maybe try to infuse that into other dancer if it's a group dancer. So it's kind of also this happen a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
At the same times, the dancer also in those cases where you get a choreography from a choreographer is also we spoke about that, or maybe I am busy since a few weeks about that, uh, compose an interpretation. So the scale of composition, it's a bit different, maybe more focused on certain places than other, but still it's in that. But now, of course, we should speak about improvisation, maybe.
No, but I
Choreography.
think it's funny, there's that part in the recording where I say, so what is choreography? And I was intending,
Yes.
or I was meant to say, what is improvisation? And I think for me, they're so entangled, and like working together, they're so in tandem somehow that I actually struggle to reckon. And in fact, I think so. I was teaching improvisation, so it caused me to sort of spend a lot of time thinking about what it is. And I think conclusively, I was sort of left with the sensation of I don't know actually, and also asking the question of is it even useful to divide dance between choreographed and improvised? Like, is this a useful binary? And that's not to say I don't recognize the sensation of when something is more set to compare to when it is more improvised. But to sort of to pay greater respect to, exactly as you say, like the choreographer is equally choreographed by the dancer as the dancer is choreographed by the choreographer. Like they are relational, and the dance emerges through that relationship. So how does it benefit us to divide the two? Even though there are skills in improvisation, right? Skills in dancing without sort of a set score. But are those skills transferable? Are they not? Is it not? Are we not able to speak about perhaps the wider space of dancing? And when we start to divide by choreographed and improvised, are we in fact also speaking about greater or lesser agency when it comes to the dancers' authority around the dancing? Because obviously, in a very set step choreography, the dancer has a lot of
I
freedom
think,
and authority too, right? Yeah, say so. Yeah.
yeah, I also want to say that, or to me, also in a very traditional places, it's very clear that dancers and choreographers want to fix improvisation
Yeah.
and make choreography into the present and more. So they want, there is a desire for mixing the two as much as possible. And when I mean mixing, I mean actually maybe even more dressing up
Mm.
improvisation as choreography and dressing up choreography as improvisation.
Yeah.
And so also this means also something. I don't know
Yes.
what it means, but it means something for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, I came across, I did a Peter dance with Sekke, and you'll hear this in in a couple of months or something. But Sekke was talking about how they like to create the conditions for the dance, that it doesn't depend on anything external. So it doesn't depend on the audience laughing at a certain moment, or it doesn't depend on the mood being a certain way, or that the even the building is in a certain way. Or I think he probably does use lighting and stuff to an extent, but it was interesting to hear the lack of desire for dependence on externalities, that the dance can find an independence away from the unpredictable nature of an environment, of a situation, and that it can survive. And I've this articulation actually radically challenges, I think, my approach to choreography, where I'm saying choreography is always being affected by what is happening around it. So, like with the baby performance, like I often say how the baby and their needs come before the choreography. The choreography is secondary, and perhaps the artistry is actually is focusing on a choreography that is independent from the conditions that are demanded upon it from outside it. And then this demands a different type of ethics, and ethics which somehow are more codified and less conditional, whereas the ethics that I've been sort of desiring for or interested in is one which is always adaptable, always changing. And this is perhaps also where my notion of improvisation seeps in, and I start to see, for that adaptability, for that ethics, one needs to always be changing and moving. So even if the choreographer desires for the improvisation to look set, or for some set choreography to look improvised, and they're working really hard to get it there, and you're inside of that, I'm sort of situating myself in a place where I'm thinking, but it should still be responsive and reactive to whatever is going on around us. I don't think that really says anything, but it just highlights my confusion around the matter.
Well, oh no, to me it was no. To me, you were saying, hey, there is this. I mean, maybe you're also say, well, choreography has the tendency to cut out as much as possible uh, the present, the the interconnection with with the condition, and somehow make it into theater, make it into a place
Yeah.
where the sun is not
Yes.
going down, but there's
Yes.
light
It doesn't rain.
instead, and we decide for how long that sun stays. Exactly.
Mm.
So you're also a bit saying this, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also
That is exciting both, but maybe
we lost you.
in 2026
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are some ethics. Ah,
Yes.
so I'm saying that maybe in 2026 there is question of ethics that want to make us make humans more aware again of our interdependency, and that's why suddenly choreography become, or the concept of choreography, the old concept, traditional concept of choreography become a bit up, not at date, no, a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that is what it is also. I mean, without judging anything, of
No,
course.
no, no, of course. I mean, yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, I found myself making site-specific work because of, I think, my interpretation of choreography in this way. And yet doing it without naming it site-specific. I didn't go to a place and decide I'm going to start working outside the theater. I was still working inside the theater, but I was starting to work with the theater as a site that is contributing to the experience of the performance and to the performance itself, contributing to the choreography of the performance. And yeah, then this sort of inclusivity of sight is also really important, right? It was invented as a way to sort of break out of the theater, but then it comes around to sort of produce a critique of the theater and the stage as a sort of a contract we've constructed that isn't necessarily completely true to be able to sort of isolate oneself and protect oneself completely. But I'm sure Setge is very aware of this, no? Like, and anyone who works in this way of
Mm.
trying to isolate the dance as much as possible. I think it's probably a long, ongoing negotiation and battle, and there's perhaps even an efficacy there in that relationship to trying to find the essence, maybe, or the qualitative center or heart, and to protect that and to sort of honor that somehow or give that space, regardless of the interference that may occur. And there's perhaps even a way of thinking like the opposite, right? Like, because it becomes a sort of question of value, whereas mine is a little bit like this sort of existentialist absurdism or ambiguity, borrowing from Simone de Beauvoir or borrowing from, I think it's Camus. He uses absurdity and this idea that things are both extremely meaningful and meaningless simultaneously, like that their meaning is sort of ambiguous or absurd. It's kept in, it's constantly sort of fluctuating, or it's not even fluctuating, because it's sort of one and the same. They are both meaningful and meaningless at the same time. And whereas Sekya is sort of maybe if you take it from an existential perspective, like more like we create our own meaning, so we should honor that and establish that and protect it somehow, and act in a way which provides the meaning. But I think one can get lost in that type of philosophy as well, of value and existentialism. Like it can be very difficult to
I,
escape.
I, I got stuck with the thought, sorry,
No,
and it is about isolation. Um,
say
the
that again.
way it, sh- I got stuck. I got stuck in a thought about isolation,
Yeah.
and that is one of the first tools we learn after copying, after copy someone, uh, is we isolate one part of the body to work on the other, or to create a new coordination between different parts of the body.
Yeah.
But it's also one of your first exercise, or one of the like tools you often use, is to ask to improvise, and
Yes.
then to take, for example, in the workshop you asked, okay, go improvise and then see what you improvise to. And then next step is to take that things and isolate. Okay, you were improvised on the feeling of good steps, or
Mm,
on the music. So
mm,
do only this. So it's also a way for researching, or for inquiries, or for learning a specific skills, or a specificity. So I'm
yes.
also bringing that because in a
Yes.
way, isolation, connection, I mean, all that, it's all distance, no? How much we are near and far, it's all up to us. How much we want to be open for the present and be kind of going somewhere else where we feel we want to go,
Yeah.
and how much this focusing on one things
Yeah.
and closing out the rest is useful.
Yeah. And I think this is I got really interested in like um not quite just doing, but using doing as a way to or to respect doing as a way of um meeting these edges and moving through the conditions that we are like contractually and socially and personally sort of regulating and choreographing and policing ourselves. So like the very first exercise in the whole series of um like what is dance, and having us sort of isolate our felt sense of dance and then move around its border, um, is like it's trying to recognize like these feelings we have are real just as much as the how we can objectively conceptualize like choreography is etymologically the writing and of the chorus. It's the writing of the body, right? There's this sort of like we can objectively say that, but the felt sense is perhaps more blurry, and it includes things like, you know, choreography is mimicry. It's the copying of an authority and that passing through that mimicrization. And I think to try and hold both at the same time, this sort of lived and thought understanding on perception of our experiences is really important. Um, which then goes back to what we were talking about with research and trying to be inclusive of a critical approach, one which allows for um, holding those tensions, holding those distinctions and differences, and respecting them equally in some manner, to sort of afford a complexity around our working and understanding. Yada, yada, yada. Yari, we just did the study group yesterday for competition. It was the last thing. So maybe we can just, yeah, like say thank you for everyone who joined and participated and followed along somehow, and all those who wished to join, but we never found a time. I think it was very useful for me to, because we're doing these sort of front-facing explorations and reflections, and I'm doing these sort of workshops, you know, invitations to think around with me and to try and practice around these questions of dance and within dance. But it was so useful to do it in a more traditional class setting where we are collectively together in the heat of it. And I think it was nice that it's not recorded, that it's not put out there, but I'm thinking it's something that I'd like to keep as a space that we can always return to a more collective practice whilst we're adventuring this. Which in fact maybe leads me to say that we are actually inviting guests into this dance reflection, but we're going to do it slightly different. So not next week, but the following week, instead of having a guest to Peter dance with, we will have a guest with me and you, where we speak about dance through the lens of their day as a person with dance in their life. Yeah, I just wanted to mention these things.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Good to have some extra info or extra information about the rest about this room and this team today.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like just trying to give different angles and ways of being with the same thing. So what I really appreciate working with you, Yari, is that I do those workshops and I try to be as open and inclusive and as I can, but of course it's all framed through myself. So being just in proximity to you, I get to understand like, oh, but wait, why am I really sure about that? Like, what is my thinking around that? And like, and so on. And it's so beautiful to allow it to enter into practice again, rather than become like this still documentation of like, what is improvisation as a solid thing. Shall we dance out? Have a quiet
Yes.
dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
See you soon.